how's it going, everybody? Welcome to Chicago. There you can see Navy Pier, the Ferris wheel off in the distance. Hey, the Lucias flying the W flag there. Yeah, the Cubs won against the Padres there yesterday. I'm not going up there today because I'm working, but hey, the Cubs play again today at Wrigley there just after 2 o'clock there. We'll see if anybody tunes in here. Yeah, we're gonna try to catch the Centennial Fountain. I think it's gonna shoot across the river here, and then we'll just tootle down the Riverwalk. I was hoping there would be a bridge lift, and I think there was a bridge lift. I think I missed it. It was earlier. I was talking to a few people there by the McCormick Bridge House, and unfortunately the sailboats already went through this portion of the river probably 9-10 o'clock this morning. They start early. You know, and it's easier to catch it in the springtime. But here welcome to Chicago. Here we're going to see if the Centennial Fountain here launches right at noon, and then we'll walk down the Chicago Riverwalk. Unfortunately, we already missed the bridge lift. It happened when I was at work this morning, so I'm just focusing here on the Centennial Fountain. We'll see if they get the right where those people are walking there. Oh, the fountain's off. So I just noticed the fountain's off. So since the fountain's off, like a dummy, I've been waiting around here, so there is not going to be a, they already must have turned the fountain off. Here, they got some pumpkins down there. We'll head down there. But here, let me turn the chat on. Hey, Chris, thanks for tuning in there. Ernie, thanks for tuning in there. Scott G, Carolyn, Prince, Ryan, Jummy, Charles. Yeah, go Cubs. Ernie, look, they got the fountain off. They got the Centennial Fountain off. I was waiting for the water jet, and like a dummy, I didn't even realize the whole fountain's turned off, so I don't think the water jet's going to be going. I think is the Buckingham Fountain still on? I think they keep the Buckingham Fountain on until the end of October. I'm surprised they turned that off, but it's the way it is here. But I was hoping we get a bridge lift. Ernie, thanks for covering the protests there yesterday. I guess there were protests at Wacker Drive there in Michigan. I would have saw them if I wasn't working from home yesterday. Thanks for Ernie for covering them, and I think Jody GTV covered them as well. So we got plenty of Chicago live streamers that cover the protests, and we appreciate that. Here's yeah, we're up here on Wacker Drive, the upper level. We'll head in and get the Skyline. We're at the top of the island party hut. They got the fall fest going on there. They got the pumpkin set out there. We'll head down to the Riverwalk and see what's shaking there. Busy at work there? Yeah, I think the Buckingham Fountain's still on too. That's why I'm surprised. Thanks, Ernie, for the info. I'm surprised that the Centennial Fountain, maybe it's just off today. I was going to try to catch the water cannon, but I was there waiting for it, and I didn't even notice the whole fountain wasn't on. So you know, water cannon today. But instead of heading down the steps, we'll walk here along Wacker Drive. There's the Swiss Hotel. Here's the St. Regis there. We're heading towards the Trump Tower. We'll head down to the Riverwalk here. We're at Columbus Drive. There's the Sheridan. Hey, thanks for tuning in and welcome to Chicago here. Yeah, we'll eventually get down to the river there. I'm just going to stay up high here because we got some nice views of the skyline. We can look up Columbus, which becomes Fairbanks. We can look this way. I guess they're working on the road here. This is Upper Columbus. There's the Fairmont Hotel. There's the Aon. There's some housing and stuff there. The Aqua Radisson Blue, and then there's also the Aqua residential portion of the tower there. Hey, who else is tuning in here? Yeah, Lambie T and really Julie Reed there. Gisela, how you doing there? Happy Wednesday. Yeah. So again, like I really had hoped we'd see a bridge lift today for the sailboats. I talked to some people, and the sailboats already went through. They went through when I was working. I can't. You know, I'm already spending too much time covering the Cubs game and stuff. I gotta keep my work schedule, so I missed it. But we'll still head down to the Riverwalk here, and maybe we'll head all the way through the loop here. We got 12:03 in the PM there. Yeah, how's everybody doing there? You want me to find a casino? There's casinos everywhere. You could gamble on your phone. There's a casino a sports book at Wrigley Field. There's one in River North. Indiana, we're ringed by casinos. Joliet, Aurora, Elgin. We got the Four Winds Casino in Michigan. We got the Potawatomis in Wisconsin, and all the Indiana casinos. And that's just in the Chicagoland area, let alone Vegas. And then you can gamble on your phone, all gambling all the time. There's a view to the Prudential too. You got this nice Chicago mural here. Oops, I'm trying to zoom into it. There we go. There, it's on the side of the Hyatt there. Hey, there's people getting on the First Lady there. But look at these views. Look how you can look. See how there's the NBC Tower on the right, and then the John Hancock's emerging behind the shorter of the Optima signatures there. Residential housing. There's the old Equitable building. Look at this view. You get to the Wrigley building. You got the tall Trump Tower, 1,200 feet tall. There's the Marina Towers. And 333 North Michigan there, and the London House. But here's where people get on the architectural tour boats. Here across the way, there's the Gleacher Center, that lower building. That's the University of Chicago stuff. There's the Tribune and the Wrigley building there. Look at that nice view. Let's see where we'll probably walk down to the Riverwalk here of Michigan Avenue, and then we'll tootle along. We'll head over towards the Merchandise Mart. There, they're blowing the whistle for you. NBC Today there, yeah, Brian Cumble and Jane Pauley there. There you go. Nelios, how you doing there? Yeah, look at that view. So we walked by there this morning. We're on Wacker Drive here, Chicago River, Michigan Avenue Bridge there. There, let's head down this way. Yeah, look at this. Look how you get the 333 North Michigan, top of the Mather Tower. They redid that top. I remember when they flew a helicopter in 2000 and they lopped off the top of that building. That's behind, that Mather Tower's behind the London Guarantee building. And this neoclassical vintage sky. And there you see behind it, oops, there's the top of the Jewelers building. So look at these vintage skyscrapers here. Look at that. See from Wacker Drive at Michigan, and then we got that, the Tribune and the Wrigley. So you see the architecture is spectacular historically in this city for skyscrapers and all the wealth and capital that built up here in the 1920s. Yeah, welcome all viewers there. Thanks Taco Jalapeno Salsa there. So we're in Wacker in Michigan. Here we're going to head down to the Chicago Riverwalk in Chicago, Illinois, United States of America, planet Earth. There's Wrigley building, the Tribune Tower, the Michigan Avenue Bridge. This is the middle part, what we usually call Lower Wacker. There's even lower Wacker. Hey, they're announcing the sightseeing tours here. Yeah. Hey, $45. Yeah, get your tickets. Very nice here. So you see right under the bridge here, you come here, get your tickets for your architecture cruise boats. Chicago's First Lady there.
Whoa, 30 River Lake sightseeing boat.
Feel like Superman flying through all these skyscrapers? Yeah. Here, we'll get the leading lady coming by the Tribune Tower here. Yeah, look at that. And we'll follow it underneath the bridge here. We'll walk right along with it. Yeah, Julie, how you doing there? Just met the spotter. Yeah. Now hey, you feel like you're on a boat now? Feel like we're rolling on a river? Hey, thanks for tuning in there. There's a view of the Wrigley building. We made it to the Riverwalk there. Yeah, the Cubs play the Padres there just after 2 p.m. there. There's the McCormick Bridge House. Yeah, I'm starting to check out the Chicago open houses coming up. I'm hoping to catch some of the things all over the city. I won't be able to go to all the things, of course. I got to pick and choose, and we'll try to get you inside some nice buildings. That's coming up later this month. We got the not this weekend, next weekend's the Chicago Marathon, so I got to see what's happening this weekend. Hey, we're keeping pace with Chicago's leading lady here. There's the marketplace is still open here. Chicago Riverwalk here. Beautiful weather day. We got low 70s. It's not even going to get to 80 degrees today. It still feels like summer. Yeah, the Shy Boys Cafe here. Playing the music. You were born in Chicago. That's great. Yeah, it's our kind of town there. Yeah, you recognize those buildings. Here comes the pigeon. It almost got us being attacked by pigeons. There's Chicago Riverwalk, the Green River. They swam in this river. Ernie covered it there. Did the Chicago River swim last weekend. It was 2 weekends ago before I went to North Carolina. There's the Jewelers Building. Can't keep track of the days there. Yeah, it feels like California. I feel like Minnesota. I'm looking California, but I'm feeling Minnesota. What lyrics are those lyrics from? Yeah, Soundgarden, Unsung. See if maybe people remember the early 1990s. Seems like a different lifetime. How do we wake up into this reality? There's the Jewelers Building. There's the Marina Towers, Corn Cob buildings. Yeah, fellow Chicagoan that loves architecture. She posted a great video about the Marina Towers. They're going through the history and how they built it for the Plumbers Union. It was so people would live downtown, and when that was built in 1968, hardly anybody wanted to live downtown, including plumbers. But that was the idea. It was supposed to provide housing for people that wanted to live in the city in 1968. And think of 1968, we think we're going through a tumultuous time. There was political assassinations, riots in the street, war going on. And as bad as we think we got it now, it could always be worse. Here's the Marina Towers. Here's the Langham Hotel, which is in the IBM building. It used to be the IBM building. Now they call it the American Medical Association Plaza. And we just went under Wabash Avenue. Hey, we're over by the Chicago Brew House here, Chicago Riverwalk. Thanks for tuning in. I was hoping to get a bridge lift today, but they already went through. They start like 9 in the morning, so when I was at work, and I had a 10 o'clock meeting, so I couldn't just run out there. That's right when I had that meeting. That's probably when the sailboats were coming through here. So we might have to try it on a Saturday to get them, because they come through earlier to this section. And it's easier when it's in the spring because it coincides with my lunchtime window, but they're already down South Branch, much further down there, right down by Chinatown already now. Prince, Beats tuning in there. Brad Smith, Lorraine Boyd's tuning in. Yeah. Working 9 to 5. I actually work 8 to 5. Can you believe it? That's what allows me to take an hour off for lunch. But yeah, there, look at that nice view. You get to John Hancock through the gap there. Hey, look at the flag there. Yeah, Chicago. Yeah, we're doing good. Yeah, we're showing you around, Brad. Showing you around the town here. That's what we do. Yeah, yesterday at this time we were up at Wrigley Field, so I posted those before the game. I didn't go in the game yesterday, but it was nice to see the excited fan base there, happy to cheer on the Chicago team there. First post-game win since 2018 or 2017. Even though the Cubs were in the postseason, I don't think they won any games in 2020. I don't even remember that postseason. But see what happens today. They play the Padres at 2 p.m. there. If they win, they advance to the next around there, and they'll face Milwaukee next. There's hey, corn cob building. It's corn. Marina Towers, big lump with knobs. See how they got the marina underneath there? You can rent the electric boats. In the wintertime, that's where they have the hot tub boats. Here we're by the city winery here, world-class wine. No boats today. Yeah, you can find a tour guide, no problem. I see people doing tours all the time. And yeah, I know people want me to do it, but just because you want me to do it doesn't mean I want to do it. This is a type of tour. Thanks for watching for free. This is a virtual tour. And everything serves its own purpose here. Here's the Westin. It's called Emerald Lady. They just all variations of First Lady here. There's State Street. They're still working on State Street. Yeah, they got Lake Street already partially closed to pedestrian traffic. There's the water taxis, shake a leg. So the yellow water taxis are Wendella. The white ones are Shoreline. There's different competing water taxis. But here we're heading underneath the Dearborn Street Baskill Bridge. Yeah, there was a movie, and I think the commercial played off the movie. It was a Steve McQueen movie, and the woman that just posted the video about the Marina Tower, she has a clip from it. She found the movie and shows where there was a car chase scene, and Steve McQueen's character chases a guy that was trying to get away from him in a car, and he drives it off the parking garage there into the Chicago River. I think that movie came out in the early 1980s, like 1980 or 81, and around then. There's Shoreline sightseeing, the Star of Chicago there. There's boat traffic here on the river. Yeah, Tiny Tap, they got some Halloween decorations out. Hey, here we go. Hey, we got skeleton at the Tiny Tap here. There's water taxi. Hey, the dog's liking it. Yeah, the dog's got a corn cob right there. Hey, you got spiders hanging above the bar there. Got the heat lamps out. Hey, there's a Padres fan. Yeah, I'll probably put it on my phone there while I'm working there. I'll have it on the background there. I'm working from the office this afternoon. Yeah, the Cubs play the Padres 2 p.m. and yeah, that's the only team we got in the postseason. So I'm gonna roll with it, jump on the bandwagon there, see if it's gonna be. If they can make it past the Padres, which it looks like they should. Hopefully, I don't want to count the chickens before they hatch there, but then that Milwaukee series they got next will be the real test. Arguably the two best teams, certainly in the Central Division, if not the whole National League. Milwaukee and the Cubs there. So what I'm doing, we'll head through here. So hey, we're heading underneath Clark Street Bridge here, Chicago Riverwalk. We got October the 1st, first day of October. We're starting to see Halloween decorations go up. But the weather's been spectacular. With this mild weather. There's the Botanica building here. We got a scooter debris. People sitting on the wall here, having their lunch. Yeah, here comes the yellow water taxi here. You're a Tigers fan? Yeah, the Tigers beat the Cleveland Guardians, right? Yeah, they're playing in Cleveland. We got some other Tigers fans. Kevin's a Tigers fan. People from Michigan to tune in. But hey, here's where the Eastland disaster happened. We talk about that. Here's the Chicago Riverwalk here, the seating wall between LaSalle Street and Clark Street. People come out here. Now I do hear a bell, so maybe we might get to see the bridge lift. Maybe they've been stuck here the whole time at Lake Street, and I could have, instead of sticking around by the Centennial Fountain, I could have walked down this way, maybe been closer to where they were going through. But hey, We got 12:18 here, so hey, how you doing there? Thanks. You know I'm going to YouTube. I'm getting away from TikTok, but I still post reruns there. That's good. Yeah, thank you. That's good. Friends and neighbors there. That's good. So I'm spreading the word about my TikTok audience. Yeah, I hear the bell ding, and so maybe the Lake Street Bridge is opening, and maybe we caught up to the sailboats if we head over here to the confluence. So maybe there's a chance we'll still see some bridge lifts today. I was I was hesitant to put it in the title because when I talked to those people, if I would have just started walking this way, we might have been in position for it already, but we would have been waiting around for a while. Sounds like the Lake Street Bridge is about to open here, and then we'll be able to walk down the whole South Branch there. Usually in quick succession they do bridges here, those bridges all really quickly. There, look at the scaffolding on the merchandise mart there. You like to be on that scaffolding. Hey, they got it right two scaffolds there. They're cleaning the windows, I guess, on the merchandise mart. Yeah, Brian fans. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Friends and neighbors, people saying hello. Yeah, so we got another block here in front of the merchandise mart, and then we'll be able to tell if we can catch up to the sailboats or not. I see kayakers there, so maybe those kayakers are following along with the sailboats. I do still see people there across the river at the Wolf Point there. Maybe they're taking pictures of the bridge. So hey, you're in luck. We still might see a bridge lift here, and we'll get here just in time. I always get to the river, and if I don't see the sailboats, I start asking people. And I saw some people, and they said, "Oh, they came through a long time ago," and I assumed they would have just kept on going. They might have been waiting here at the confluence for a long time. And sometimes that happens. A lot of the bridge lifts, it's a lot of waiting around. Here's the merchandise mart, Chicago River. You see that tab? We saw that one time on this building earlier in the, like last year, a year ago. We saw some scaffolding like that. It was tipping to the side, and I posted it, and CBS News contacted me, and they used it in their evening report. They showed people, you know, it looked pretty scary what was happening, but they got it righted, and the people, nobody fell out. But here, Chicago Riverwalk here, we're across from the merchandise mart, between Franklin Street and Wells Street. And I hear the bells dinging, which means there's a good chance we're going to catch the end of this bridge lift. We missed them going through this whole area here because I was working, and they probably were stuck here for a while waiting for the Lake Street Bridge because they're doing construction on it. And there's still cars going across it, so they must be further down. And let's see if we can catch up with the sailboats here. Here's the confluence, Wolf Point, that's Salesforce Tower, that's residential, that's, yeah, here's a sailboat. So there's one sailboat, there's the pink line, so there's two sailboats here, and they were dinging the bell, but now they're not dinging the bell, because I think they got a problem with this bridge since they're getting ready for construction. And even if we would have came down here, we just would have been waiting around this whole time. We have caught up with the sailboats. I'll stick around here to see if they're going to lift this bridge or not. And there goes the Fort Dearborn there. Maybe that bell we were hearing was nothing. Let's see. Maybe we can talk to somebody on these boats to see what the situation is. Hey Margie, how you doing there? That's true. Yeah, it looks like they're waiting around here. You guys are still waiting to go south, right? Okay, thank you. Yeah, so they're still waiting to go south there. So they're waiting for this Lake Street Bridge here. So even if I would have got here, they looks like they've been waiting around for a while. So we'll see what the situation is. I guess the construction, they're letting as many trains through. That's usually what happens, is they let the trains through and they make the boats wait. There's the green line heading across the Lake Street Bridge. There's the Sears, top of the Sears Tower. You guys been waiting a long time to go through this bridge?
Yeah, probably a half hour.
Half hour, yeah, because I was further down and I was trying to catch up with you. I was like, oh, they're already through. And then I heard the bell, so you're still waiting, so thank you. Hey, good luck. Yeah, construction work, I know, yeah. Okay, thank you. So they're waiting around for this bridge to open. So what we'll do is we'll get up above, and if they let me cross, I'm gonna cross and get to the other side because we'll be in a better position. But if they don't let me cross, we'll film it from where we can. And let's see if they might not even let me up these stairs. They'll let me up the stairs. There's other people going up the stairs here. And I think they got the south part of the bridge blocked off anyway. So there's only 2 sailboats going through here anyway. Huh. Try to cross here. Try to get to the other side. There's the Lake Street Bridge. They're going to shut this bridge down later this month, and it's going to be under construction for the next 3 years. So there's going to be 3 bridges: State Street, Lake Street, and I think the Chicago Avenue Bridge up by the new casino up that way is going to be under construction for the foreseeable future. So that's going to impact crossing the river. But here we'll try to get to the other side here, see if they do a bridge lift here. So look at the trees coming out of the Beatnik Cafe there. Look how they used to build on top of the trees there. Yeah, Boeing. There's the Boeing corporate logo up there. Boeing moved their official Fortune 500 headquarters to Washington, D.C. to be closer to the Congress. They need to lobby. They went from Seattle to Chicago to Washington, D.C., gravitating towards the source of all their contracts. But Boeing, yeah. Hey, we made it across before they lifted the bridge. So what I'm going to do is we'll kind of stick along the river here, and maybe we'll get lucky and they'll start lifting these bridges. They'll let these sailboats through, and then sounds like they're letting another train across here. Hey, Chicago, Illinois. Here's the pink line heading across South Branch, Chicago River at Lake Street. So this would be a perfect position to watch it if they only lift this bridge. See, again, when they do bridge lifts, it's a lot of waiting around. And I didn't even think I thought they were totally gone and past this whole area. We'll see if we get lucky. They got to clear people off of this bridge. And they were dinging the bell, and then for some reason they decided to not open it. They might be having technical difficulties because they're working. They said they were waiting there for a half an hour. So we would have been waiting around here for half an hour if I didn't start where I started. We got 12:28. I'll stick around here until 12:45, and then we'll have to head back. Here comes the... I'll still be streaming, but I usually stream till 1 o'clock. No Michaels today. Where's all the Michaels? I ran all the Michaels off. Well, it's good for people taking a break. People have their own lives. I appreciate that. Hey, Dolores, how you doing there? Yeah, I mean, I hear Gibson's Steakhouse is good. I honestly don't eat there that often, and so I'll defer to other people, what other people think about Gibson's Steakhouse. I know it's pricey. I'm sure it's good, but is it a value? I don't know. Is it touristy? Yes. Doesn't mean it's not necessarily bad. It just means it's probably a markup on it. You're paying for, you know, saying, oh, I had a steak at Gibson's. You go to the Chicago Chop House. You can also go to Gene and Georgetti's. Frank Sinatra used to like Gene and Georgetti's. It's underneath the L tracks there. But here, I'll tell you what I'll do is we'll head down a little bit. So I don't like just standing in one place. We'll walk around a little bit, waiting for these bridges to open. Maybe we'll get some bridge lifts here. And it depends on, we'll be able to know once we start seeing people stopping and walking across that bridge there. We can get on Randolph here. Matthew Johnson, thanks for tuning in from Kansas City there. Yeah, Kansas City's beautiful too. You got all those fountains, the Country Club Plaza. I would like to do some live streaming in Kansas City. I have been to Arthur Bryant's, the nice ribs there. And yeah, Kansas City, even the downtown. Thanks for tuning in to Chicago. Yeah. What I'm sticking around the river is they got 2 sailboats that are going back, and they're lifting all these bridges for just these 2 sailboats. But since it's only 2 sailboats, they're working on this Lake Street Bridge, and they said the sailboats have been waiting there a half an hour, waiting for them to lift that bridge. So hopefully it won't be another half an hour until they lift this. I'm hoping they're going to start it. They were dinging the bell, and then they stopped dinging the bell, which I don't know what the issue is here. But yeah, we're going to see if they lift this bridge right here. We're one bridge over south of it on Randolph here. Yeah, we got 12:30 local time, Chicago time, 12:30 p.m. They got this little Plaza here. But hey, it's a nice cool breeze here. Just hang out on the bridge here until they any indication they're gonna do something or not. Yeah, this Boeing, it used to be Boeing. It still says Boeing on it. They still have offices here, but they also have offices in Washington, D.C. Now they're still letting people walk across. Yeah, the Butler Brothers, they converted that. It used to be a warehouse for wholesale. Now they made it all residential, adaptive reuse. The other building's offices. Picture quality, yeah. Streamlabs is much better. You notice it's better than this morning. This morning I was using the YouTube app. Now we're using Streamlabs on top of YouTube, and the resolutions should be 1080p, even though it's in the vertical. You get, you know, it's not as many pixels as it would be landscape, but it's still pretty good for your phone. So yeah, they're still letting trains across here. They're still letting people walk across here, so it might be a while before. Hey, there's a nice skateboard there. There's the confluence, north-south branch here, Lake Street. Florida, how you doing there, Carmen? Thanks for tuning in. Carmen Miranda, yeah. You lived in Brooklyn until 1990. Yeah, Alvin, thanks for tuning in. Naya Papaya. Chris, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, get that Kansas City strip steak. Yeah, Kansas City. So you go near the source. You know, Chicago used to have the stockyards, but then we all know more of the stockyards moved to Kansas City and Fort Worth. And you got to go closer to the source of the steak there. Yeah, there's the water taxi heading through here. Yeah, bravo. So Chris, when I started this, I was over by Michigan Avenue, and I ran down to the river. I got here early because I knew they were going to start early, and they said, oh, they went through an hour ago. And I was like, oh, there's no way they're done. They only made it to Lake Street. They've been sitting there for a half an hour. So the whole time I was walking over here, the sailboats were just sitting there, and they were dinging the bell, which I thought they were going to lift the bridge, and then they stopped dinging the bell, and they're still letting people walk across here. So here, let's head back. We head back here. We can see the Sears Tower. Yeah, awesome buildings here along the river. That's why the Riverwalk cruises. Look how it's cantilevered. It's because there's railroads behind there, underneath there, railroad tracks that lead to Union Station. And so it has a really narrow footprint. There's the Green Line heading across Lake Street. That's the Wolf Point. That's the Salesforce Towers there next to the Merchandise Mart. And that's why that's double deck there. The elevated CTA trains on top of Lake Street. You got this plaza here. There's the top of the Sears Tower there. I'm kind of sticking around here hoping they're going to open this bridge, but I'm not. The longer it goes here, I'm just like wasting my time here. They're going to make them sailboats wait there for a long time. Here comes another shoreline sightseeing tour boat here, architectural cruise boat. I think they said $45. So the bridge you're talking about is actually north of the confluence. I know the bridge you're talking about. It's by the Kinsey Street Bridge. That's the Railroad Bridge that's stuck up in the air. Lake Street Bridge does open and close. They're working on it. You know, see, look, there's the train. You know, the train, L train doesn't go across the one that's stuck in the upright position. If I walk to the other side, we might be able to see it here. Here's the green line heading across Lake Street. But I know what you're talking about. Here's the South Branch. Or looking south. There we can see it. So you see this bridge over here? That's the one that's it's not stuck. They leave it in the upright position. I used to erroneously say that it was stuck too, but it can't close it. They just leave it open so they don't have to keep opening and closing it for all the boats there. And it's where the railroad tracks used to go underneath Merchandise Mart and connect to Navy Pier. The Kinsey Street Bridge is north of that. That's where the Dave Matthews Band incident happened. And we're on the Randolph Street Bridge here. Hopefully they're going to open this Lake Street Bridge, but I'm not. How long am I going to have to stick around here? I guess I'm on my lunch break here, 12:35. Alvin, thanks for the gift there. Really appreciate it, Alvin. Thanks everybody for supporting good content. Alvin's a great friend and follower there from Saskatchewan. Did I say it right? Yeah, I mispronounced everything. Canada, our friends from Canada, thanks for tuning in. And thanks for understanding not all Americans are on board with this so-called great America, that I'm trying to figure out what's so great about it. But hey, different strokes for different folks. You know, when have Americans ever agreed about anything? See, there's a guy in the bridge house there. I'm hoping they're going to open this bridge. But no guarantee. No guarantees in life. Bonnie D. Beck, how you doing there? Oh, there's another one by Goose Island. Yeah, there's some interesting bridges over there. I know Chris and Jennifer You Should Eat, they saw that one that flips like a pinball lever. It's like a flipper on a pinball. It swings sideways. That's a railroad bridge there that goes from the Clybourne corridor to Goose Island there, and maybe it's north of Goose Island. It's on the North Branch there. Yeah, there's some interesting bridges up that. The Portland Street Bridge is really old too. That's one of the oldest Basco bridges that still functions in Chicago. But they're going to replace the Chicago Avenue Bridge. There's a temporary bridge there now at the Montgomery Wards there. Here's the Bank of America building here. Thanks for sticking on. I'm hoping to get a bridge lift here, but they're still letting people walk across. There's still traffic on the bridge, so we'll just watch the water taxi go by. I should have just kept on walking. I get distracted by these events and try to document it, and it just never works out. So there's a web page, and generally they start the boats after 9 o'clock from the there's a lock that lets you in from Lake Michigan to the Chicago River. Then you start at the DuSable Michigan Avenue Bridge about 9:30, 10 o'clock, and usually they get to this area before noon, and I've seen them go all the way through this area before 1 o'clock, which is what I was expecting. They're stuck right there because they got some problem lifting this bridge because they're doing construction. So they might be here all day. So I might have to punt on trying to, and it's probably as soon as I leave, I'll hear the bell ding, and I'll stick around, and then they won't lift the bridge, and then I'll be late getting back to work, and then everybody will be like, oh, we're going to call and tell your boss, and I just don't want to deal with that. So here, we'll slowly walk across this bridge. And we might have to start heading back to the office here. At least I didn't title this the bridge lift because we did not see a bridge lift today. I wanted to. We're in position for it. They're just not lifting the bridges, and there's 2 sailboats there just stuck waiting to whenever. See, there's a guy there, and he's looking at his phone there. He's gonna. That's the bridge operator that's gonna lift this bridge. There's another one over there that you can't see. There's the architectural tour boat, large barge. It's not even that large. It's a short barge. Hey, here comes Linnea. Yeah, look at that. Hey, yeah, we'll blame it on the weather, man. Yeah, that sounds like the ticket there. Yeah, good surprises. Surprise. Okay, well, we'll start heading back here. There it is. Ah, logistics. Chris, you know about logistics. Time is money, right? Yeah. Hey, we'll watch Linnea come by here. At least it's a beautiful day. Beautiful day for a ball game. Yeah, we're all excited to see if the Cubs can knock out the Padres here. It's possible, but we won't count our chickens before they hatch here. Yeah, it's 12:40, so I'm gonna have to start heading back here. So we gave it the college try. You'll have to watch my reruns. I got reruns from the spring where we saw the Chicago bridge lift, and then eventually people get tired of watching it, you know. And we'll have other chances. There'll be more boats later in October. Usually every Wednesdays and every Saturdays. They usually do it during the middle of the day, and they don't do all the bridges at once. They pulse them through. And here, let's cross the street here. We're at Randolph and Wacker Drive. There's the Bazaar Meats. People like to go to the Bazaar Meats there at Bank of America Tower. Yeah, there's the Sears Tower, Wacker Drive. Hey, there's the train heading across there. The green line's heading across Wacker Drive. There we got the light. Okay, let's go. So here you can look down and you can see how in the center of the street you can come out of Wacker Drive, lower Wacker Drive. Remember the Blues Brothers, they jumped the cars out of there. And on this portion of Wacker Drive, rise out of the middle. There's the 155 North Wacker building. See, there's no column on the corner. Oh, Sterling Bay, they're developers. They developed most of the West Loop. Quiet optimism. Yeah, it could happen. You're right, Chris. Yeah, still gotta play the games there. The wild card series are always dicey because it's the best of 3, and that first game is so important. And that's why it was so important. The Cubs won the first game, and the Cubs have home field advantage. Even if they, God forbid, have to play another game, it's going to be all 3 of these are going to be at Wrigley if they need to play all 3 of them. Here we're in the Chicago Loop here. And here, let's head across Franklin Street. Here we got the light. There's a nice view to the Sears Tower over here. Across Franklin Street. Hey, look at that nice view you get to the Sears Tower from Franklin Street here. From Randolph, Chicago, Illinois here. See no column on this building too. CNA Center. So the CNA Tower used to be the red building over by Michigan Avenue, but then now it's Northern Trust. You see CNA moved here. Railroads. Yeah, I showed you the Sears. I'm not going to go to the top. I'm on my lunch break. I'm not going to pay $40. Not for TikTok, not for YouTube. But I appreciate it. We got reruns at the top of the John Hancock. I prefer the view at the top of the John Hancock to the Sears Tower. Nothing wrong with the Sears Tower. It's actually a taller observation deck. Sears observation deck's on the 103rd. John Hancock's only on the 94th, even though it's 100 stories tall. And Astro, thanks for tuning in there. Yeah, we got some reruns of the bottom of the Sears Tower, the food court. We go over there sometimes. I'll have to go down back that way. Yeah, Chris, I saw that nice video that the woman did of the Harold Washington Library. I need to remember, so many times I stream there and like a dummy. It's because, you know, as live streamers outside, we train ourselves to turn off the Wi-Fi because it messes with our signal. And then when we go in big buildings like that, I got to remember to switch back to the Wi-Fi, but I always forget to do that because I lose my connection. But she was able to film the Winter Garden, did a really good, nice job. And I guess she's going to go do all the libraries, which, what a great idea. We got all these other Chicagoans covering the city, which is great. And I'm happy. Well, I look forward to watching her videos of all the libraries throughout all the neighborhoods in Chicago. So here, this is underneath Wells Street. This is Wells Street at Randolph, underneath the tracks there. CTA elevated tracks. Here's a Hotel Allegro. Yeah, these vintage skyscrapers that have been converted into housing. And we'll go by the Thompson Center. We've been checking on the progress. Man, I really want to get you a bridge lift today, but it's not working. And we'll have to try it Wednesdays later. Here's the Palace. Cadillac Palace.
Those are not incompatible things.
Again, it's just an opinion. Like.
Showing the Lion King here. Hey, here's the Lion King truck. North American tour there. Yeah, October 3rd through 19th. So they're bringing all the costumes and the equipment and stuff there. Look at that. Lion King North American tour there, October 3rd to 19th here. You can catch it at the Cadillac Palace Theater. There you go. So here's the Thompson Center. Look how they got the curtain wall there, the glass. It's going to be the new Google offices here in the Loop. We got the light here. We'll cross the South Street. This is where we saw Ernie on Monday. He told us a story about being accosted by ICE. Thanks everybody for your support for Ernie and what he had to go through there. Hopefully it won't happen again. Here's the Ceres statue on top of the Board of Trade there in the South Street, Chicago, Illinois. Yeah, we talked to Ernie right here, so you can watch that rerun on YouTube and TikTok. I did a rerun there. But here's the curtain wall going up on, and Ernie covered the protest there last night, and I think Jody GTV did as well. We thank them for that. I don't know if Steve Lyon covered it or not. Here we'll go over towards Clark Street here, City Hall. Yeah, see, Sears is good for orientation. A lot of times I'll do the same thing. I'll be on the west side or the south side, and I'll say, look, there's the Sears Tower way off in the distance, and you can still see it from pretty much, Chicago's so flat, if you get on a rooftop, you can see it from all areas of the city, or a parking garage or anything like that, tall building. But thanks for the gift there, Alvin. I really appreciate it. Thanks for your support. I know. Hey, here's the rat. Undermine local workers. So there must be some union protest of the workers they're using here for the Google. So Google, one of the richest corporations on earth, is not using union labor in Chicago. They're gonna, there we go. Google's developer, Phoenix investors, and general contractor undermine local workers here. So they're talking about some of the subcontractors used by Clark Construction here. They bring the rat out here when they are doing picketing here. Here we're waiting across the street here. There's the rat. Hey, we got the light. So usually in this city, you see the rat when unions are protesting contractors not using union labor or something, you know, subcontractors. Hey, welcome to Chicago, Randolph Street. Yeah, have a good rest of the day there, Naya. Thanks for tuning in there, Prince. Yeah, see you, Julie. Naya. So, new statue walk connecting Jefferson and Portage Park. I'll look into that. I didn't know that. Okay, so there's Astro. There's a new statue walk connecting Jefferson and Portage Park. I'll look into that. Yeah, if you could, if anybody could send me any more information about that. I honestly don't know anything about it, so I'll look into it. You know, I mainly stream in the city here. I don't have a car, but we do go to all other areas of the city when we can. And if I get out that way, yeah, I would certainly like to cover it. I want to know what it's about there. Thank you. Yeah, it's a beautiful place there, Anna Maria. But that's the nature of running a live stream channel. No matter where you're at, somebody will give you a good suggestion about somewhere else, or did you see that, or you know, I said something wrong, or why don't you go to this place, and I really like you to go this place, and you know, I can be one place at one time. I'm always downtown, usually in weekdays, unless I'm working from home, because I got an office job here, work for an architecture engineering firm. They're trying to get people to go back to the office, and that's what I've been doing. But good luck with that. Hey, we got the light here. So here, yeah, we're crossing Dearborn Street here. Hey, there's the train loop of Chicago here. We're going underneath the theater here, the Nederlander. Let me get out of the bike lane. Hey, the Sound of Music. So we got Lion King at 1. We got the Sound of Music at the Nederlander. It used to be the Oriental, and then before that it was the Iroquois Theater. Here's the Theater Zinzani. There's a hotel here. The hotel, Cambria Hotel right here. Nederlander, Sound of Music. Hey, here's Garrett's Popcorn. Yeah, we were in Wilmington. We saw a Wilmington candy shop that was making popcorn as well. Here, the Sound of Music at Nederlander. Show that restores faith in human nature. There, yeah. Latinicity's gone. Here's the Blick. You got the nice art store here in the Cuckoo Clock building here. Jay City Walking Girl has a good video about this building. That's a beautiful place there. So here we're over to State Street. We'll go by the Chicago Theater here. We'll see what the marquee says. I think they're doing some construction work on State Street. Here's the former Marshall Fields at Macy's. There's the clock there. Yeah, we'll go up this way. Chicago Theater. Yeah, they're doing construction work on the State Street. Hey, skating down. Yeah, how you doing? Everybody's neighborhood, the Loop. There's the Gene Siskel Film Center. There, Jimmy Carr is going to be at the Chicago Theater. Yuma. Elvis Costello, October the 16th. But here, let's get here's the Red Line. You go down to the Red Line subway station here, State Street. You're always doing construction or something here. There's Sam Morrill. October the 4th coming up there. Raphael Sadiq. October the 8th. Chicago Theater here, State Street, just south of Lake Street. So you can get to the Goodman Theater that way. Here's Channel 7. They got it all closed up. Yeah, they're sucking out the sewers there or something. Working on the road there. State Street in front of Chicago Theater. Hey, thanks for tuning in to our lunchtime walk here on YouTube. We're just heading through the Loop. Yeah, we're across. We got the light here. There it is, Chicago Theater. State Street, that great street. So you see they got the State Street Bridge all closed off here. Go ahead through here. Oops, right open. Hey, Cubs fan, that's great. Oops, trying to make it through. So yeah, this Chick-fil-A, they suddenly closed it down, but they're renovating it. So supposedly the Chick-fil-A is going to come back. Maybe they realize this construction was going on, and they were like, now's a good time for us to renovate our store since the street's going to be all tore up. This was not like this a month ago. They added this barricade here along Lake Street between Wabash and State. They were working on the intersections. There, I think the comments are not. See, this is what happens on Streamlabs after about an hour into it. The comments stop working. But the resolution was much better today. I did the Streamlabs because I hoped to get a bridge lift, but they didn't lift the bridges there. Those boats are probably still stuck there, waiting for that bridge to open. So I got to go back to work. So we'll do this after 5 o'clock. I still got another 5 minutes here, but there we'll show you the construction here underneath the lake and Wabash here, underneath the northeast corner of the elevated tracks here. Hey, look, so there's vaults underneath these sidewalks. A lot, especially under Wabash. There's like storage vaults underneath the sidewalks. So the sidewalks are not the ground either. Remember, I show you the streets below the streets, and when all this flooded, it was a major problem for the vaults underneath the sidewalks as well, because they would store stuff in there for all these buildings. Elephant Castle. This is Wabash here, the Jewelers District, Loop of Chicago. There's the Jewelers Building. There's this parking garage. It looks like a hood of an old antique car there. You enter the parking garage where the tires are. But here, there's the Elephant Castle. Mammoth Pokey Ramen here. We're on Lake Street heading over towards Michigan. So we'll try it again next Wednesday. We'll try to get a bridge lift. I'll have to get out there earlier. Maybe we'll catch the whole thing.
I get it. It's a big day.
But we gave it a try today. That's all we could do. Tomorrow we might do the Bean and Buckingham Fountain. I might do Buckingham Fountain before they turn it off. But I think they leave it on a whole month of October. So I think we got time. I think there'll be the farmers market at Daly's Plaza. But we saw the farmers market in Lincoln Park this morning. Hey, thanks everybody for tuning in here on our little lunchtime loop walk here along the Riverwalk. We'll get over here to Michigan Avenue and we'll wrap it up here. Look at those little balconies. Just little tiny balconies.
Yeah, it looks like it.
There, Michigan and Lake Street here. Yeah, we'll get this nice view to the Wrigley Building and the John Hancock. Hey, thanks for tuning in there. Go Cubs. Yeah, the Cubs play the Padres 2:08. I think it's the same game time as yesterday. I posted those reruns there, the update on Ronnie Woo Woo. And we went inside that fire station. The firefighter, she drives that engine number 78. And you can see her in that video there, Chicago firefighter. And here she's crossing Michigan Avenue, the Wrigley Building there. So yeah, I really appreciate everybody tuning in. There's the Hazel Johnson mural to environmental justice. I saw that the governor of Pritzker announced on the Southwork site. Chris, I don't know if Chris is still on. You remember we went down to the southeast side of Chicago there, where the 95th, the Blues Brothers Bridge, and on the way back we stopped at. There's a park there, a giant park here where the old Southwork steel site used to be, and there's a big ore wall. It was a climbing wall. Well, just south of there's a bunch of land. They're going to use that for a quantum computing center, like a big giant data center. And it's controversial because, data centers and quantum computing thing, but it's some economic investment where it's underutilized brownfield industrial land. So positive, negatives, everything. At least something's happened. They're going to maintain that ore wall with that park. There'll still be a park along the lake, but there's going to be a lot of buildings that be like a data center built there. But it's kind of zoned industrial anyway. Some people wanted the whole thing to be a park, but it might have more economic impact if it's a quantum computing center. We'll see. I know there's positives, negatives, everything. There's the Carbide and Carbon building. I might post a video. I was able to get on that floor that they're trying to lease out, and you can see it from the top there. We got some nice view of from the 40th floor there. But hey, I'll see you after 5 o'clock tonight on YouTube. We'll walk home. Thanks to my mods and everybody else there. Thanks for your attention. We'll see you in a little bit there. If I missed your comment there, it's because of Streamlabs. But I'm bad about catching them too. Okay, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks a lot, everybody. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Have a great rest.